Now, the war between the United States and Israel and Iran is intensifying with every passing hour. There are airstrikes that are pounding Tehran, while missiles continue to rain down on the Israeli cities and American military bases in the Gulf region. Now, Israel claims that about 330 of estimated 470 of the ballistic missile launches of Iran have been destroyed. But IRGC has shown some new missile hubs and has continued to retaliate with fewer but much heavier missiles at American and the Israeli interests in the region. Take a look at this report.
The night sky over Tehran glows with fire. Precision strikes slam into targets across the Iranian capital. Explosions rip through buildings linked to Iran's military infrastructure. US military released footage of these strikes. Guided munitions striking with accuracy. Facilities erupting in flames. Israel says it has also targeted key infrastructure and positions linked to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. For Iranians, the images are stark. Collapsed structures, streets filled with debris, emergency crews rushing through smoke-filled zones as sirens echo across the city. But even as Tehran burns, Iran is striking back. Missiles roar towards Israel. In Tel Aviv, the impact is visible. Buildings scarred by explosions, windows blown out across entire blocks, vehicles damaged, streets covered in rubble. In Nesher, the destruction is equally severe.
There was an alarm, and me and the whole family went down with our neighbors to the bomb shelter. I have two girls, little girls, and we sat down there for a few minutes, and then there was a big explosion, and I knew that it was here. It was horrible.
It feels that you're a duck, and waiting to the missiles to hit you or someone next to you, so you don't really know. We're just listening to whatever commands that we get, and we are doing whatever we need to do in order to protect ourselves. But we know we need luck also. You need luck.
Iran was launching dozens of missiles a day at the start of the war, but Tehran's firing rate has fallen significantly. Iranian forces are now calibrating their attacks by using more powerful missiles with heavier warheads and cluster munition to maximize damage. Israel's air defense systems continue to intercept many incoming threats, but not all. Some missiles are getting through, and that is enough to cause damage, fear, and disruption. This war is now moving in both directions at full intensity. Airstrikes on Tehran, missile strikes on Israeli cities, US bases being targeted on a daily basis, and a region watching as the cycle of attack and retaliation grows more dangerous with each passing day. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, now to put things in perspective, we're joined by Mr. Nader Hashmi, who's an associate professor of Middle East and Islamic politics at the Georgetown University. He's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Now, Professor Hashmi, let me in fact start off by asking you this. It's difficult to look into the mind of Donald Trump, who is the mercurial amongst all mercurial people. But when Donald Trump says that there will be a 5-day pause on strikes on Iranian energy facilities, what do you think Donald Trump is hinting at here? Is it an attempt to try and draw down this war, or is this just a pause before the Americans can in fact regroup and hit the Iranians, or is this just market management by the American president?
My own view, it's the latter two of those options that you've just mentioned. It's clear that Donald Trump is very vulnerable when it comes to this war and its effects on the global economy. And I think he's making statements to try and diminish the predictable results that this war has had on the global economy and on the American economy. So I think this largely explains his announcement yesterday that he was going to engage in a 5-day pause. I think the other most likely option is that Donald Trump is also going to use this 5-day pause to beef up American assets in the region to try and hit Iran harder. I just saw a report recently in the news publication Politico, where it seems like Donald Trump and his foreign policy advisors are still living in a world of illusions, where they think that they can keep bombing Iran until they find a person who is the political equivalent of Delcy Rodriguez in Venezuela, who will strike a deal with the United States, allowing the United States to control Iran's oil resources. And so this bombing campaign, targeting of Iran's senior leaders, seems to be a strategy, in fact, of trying to knock off as many Iranian leaders as possible, hoping that someone will emerge from among the ruins and then strike a deal with the United States. That seems to be U.S. foreign policy right now. It's a fool's errand. It's not going to happen, and it's going to simply perpetuate this war.
No, it's a fool's errand is how you describe it, but it could get a lot worse from here. In a few days' time, we expect the USS Tripoli could be near the theater of warfare. It is bringing with it about 2,500 Marines. Now, the logic that a lot of military experts are putting forth is that to open the Strait of Hormuz, the Americans must control some of the islands there and possibly even the shoreline. In your assessment, what do you think Donald Trump is being instructed by his military advisors about the possibility of sending in those Marines to try and take over some of those islands that the Iranians have and possibly trying to dominate the Iranian shoreline?
Yeah, I think that's very much within the realm of possibility, because Donald Trump likes to present himself as a Superman, as a great leader, someone who can score a big victory. And so far, he doesn't have many victories that he can point to. And I think he naively hopes that more American muscle can break the back of the Iranians. And I think he is planning actually something along these lines. Of course, it would be a disaster because it will expand this war. It will deepen it. It will sort of force Iran to sort of try and respond back to any American occupation of Iranian territory. And so it looks like, from my vantage point, that this war is still a long way away from being concluded. In fact, it seems like it's escalating. And it's escalating largely because Donald Trump clearly has bitten off more than he can chew. He's misunderstood Iran. He thinks he can, bomb Iran into submission, but that's clearly not happening.
Interesting. And my final question to you, Professor, is this. At this moment, the American president appears to be very concerned about the price of oil. But in the event he indeed commits these Marines and by that the ground troops on this war in Iran, in your assessment, where do you think the oil price is going up and how will this impact the American economy?
Yeah, it will have negative consequences because I think Donald Trump has this illusion this is going to be a very smooth and easy operation, similar to what he pulled off in Venezuela. Send in the Marines, occupy the Iranian coastline, control the Straits of Hormuz, and then oil tankers can pass smoothly through those narrow straits. But of course, Iran is not going to simply sit back and watch the United States do this. They're going to hit back with as much firepower as they have. And based on the last couple of days, it seems like Iran still has quite a bit of firepower. So if that does happen, then I think this conflict and its effects on the global economy are going to escalate beyond the realm of anyone's imagination.
Interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Hashmi, for joining us with our perspective there.
Thank you.